Before we get into forgiveness, let's talk about feminine power. Today's day 7 of the Embodied Woman Live Series in celebration of the launch of my newest women's program that is a deepening in healing, personal development, spiritual development, professional development, and feminine embodiment. So today I saw someone post something about feminine power, and with all due respect, it's not that. So when people talk about feminine power, it's not loud. It's not force. Hi, Joseph. One of my teachers, I think it was middle school, right? Nice to see you. Hey, Grandma. Grandma Mary's on too. So the thing about feminine power is it's not forceful. It's not strong in a sense like you think of a man. And that's the beauty. Men and women, feminine and masculine, were complements. Our power is different. And the feminist movement did not do anything to help women. I feel like it hurt the relationship between men and women. It made women very hard and tough and hyper independent, which then caused burnout. And today I still know of women that are dealing with hustle syndrome, like feeling like they have to do everything in the house and this and that, and they have to be at the top of their careers. And it's like, yes, you can have it all, but it's the energy you're doing with it that is exhausting you. And so I remember, those campaigns that were like the women with their muscles, and we're not trying to be men here, ladies. I've said this in some of my free master classes, which, by the way, I'll link in my bio as 2 free master classes. The Feminine Leaders Co-Creating the New Earth and The Mysteries of the Feminine. Both are amazing. Joseph says, like the chalice and blade complements one another. Absolutely. And what we've seen in society is men and women competing. Women thinking feminine power means strong. I could do it all by myself. I'm independent. No, that's not where we get to live our ultimate life. The strength of the feminine power is in her gentleness, her softness, her capacity to forgive, her compassion, her ability to be love and give love, her ability to respond and hold space in unconditional love, having grace, having graceful boundaries, being able to communicate in a way that disarms others, not bull on bull. And don't get me wrong, I've been there. I've been in relationship triggered, meeting my man with right? That's not the vibe. That does not create divine union and the things, that juicy attraction and polarity, which only comes when we're being complements, not competition, right? Not the bull versus bull. And so there's a lot of talk about feminine embodiment and this and that. Like the whole boss babe culture is not feminine embodiment. I was a part of the boss babe culture. It was like a lot of doing. Yeah, I was super successful financially and doing all the things, living Malibu beachfront, but it's like I had everything except I didn't have love. Why? Because I was operating my masculine all the time. Yeah, sure, as the masculine, you get things done. You take a lot of action. Feminine business and feminine embodiment is more about intuitive-led, heart-led. It's not about taking the millions of actions to make sure it gets done. It's more about aligned action. So operating from the feminine is a completely different way of being. And it requires an unlearning and a relearning. So it's like we're deprogramming ourselves. And I know because over these past 2 years, since I left Malibu, I've been going, it started at the end of Malibu. It's like I've been going through a dismantling of even who I thought I was and what I thought femininity was. And once upon a time, I hosted a women's program called The Ultimate Woman. And the embodied woman is going to be completely different. even what I named that program, The Ultimate Woman, that's very masculine. Embodiment is feminine, being in your body, not your mind, being in your heart, your intuition, listening to the guidance that's coming to you in different ways, including the divine. So I just wanted to talk about that for a second. And the Embodied Woman Program is all about that. It's the reprogramming of how even so much of it is like how we process emotions. And when we don't process emotions, we get hard. And when we get hard, we are not enjoying the pleasures of life. We're not soft and graceful and feminine. The thing that makes a woman irresistible and magnetic is her being. It's not what she does. It's not what she says. It's her radiance. And your radiance, meaning how the light of your soul is shining through your body, that happens as you remove the blocks, you remove the emotional baggage, the triggers, you get rid of your yoni bricks, aka where you're resentful towards the masculine. You start to really learn to love and forgive and be a safe space for the masculine too. Because we are so powerful that we can affect others. And I've observed that. Recently I've had some challenging interactions, and instead of fighting back, I just pull back, go into my energy, make sure my energy is pristine, grounded, centered. I'm radiating with my light. I'm sovereign in my energy, meaning clearing out all cords, other people's energies, entities, things that are in your field that are not love, that are not you. And then you become magnetic. And then things happen without you having to do anything. That's what grace is. Like, you don't have to make anything happen. You're here to receive the miracle, receive the blessing, receive what is highest alignment and highest will. So I just wanted to touch upon that before I dove into the transmission on forgiveness. And it's like all of it feeds itself, right? So if you go from day one, we've talked about many different aspects of the feminine and different principles and properties, from healing and intuition and love and compassion. And I even talked a bit about harmony yesterday. And the thing about today, like, compassion helps you, yes, keep harmony within yourself and the other. But forgiveness is really for you. And forgiveness is really about maintaining harmony within yourself. Because if at any time you have not fully forgiven anyone or anything or any situation, and have not trusted that it is such divinely orchestrated, that it was meant to be that way, you will feel disharmony in your body. It will be an energy leak, and it's actually preventing you from having every single thing you want. And I know this to be true because as I've worked with women and in my own personal journey, the more I forgive, I feel better in my body. Like, there's no pains or aches or little contractions here or there. Because anytime you don't forgive, there's a cord between you and that person, where energy is being siphoned back and forth. So it's actually energy hygiene to forgive people. And one of the funny things that I witness in clients all the time, and women who've gone through my program, even in family members, people I love, friends, is when people think they've forgiven, but they talk about it like, yeah, I've forgiven them, but like, nee. It's like, you know how you know you've forgiven someone? You can talk about them and not feel any ounce of anger, upset, resentment, no little niggles in your body. You're completely neutral. And if anything, you feel gratitude for them. And you actually feel a deep sense of love. No matter how much they've wronged you, forgiveness does not mean they have to be in your life. But that's how you know you've forgiven someone. Because what comes with forgiveness is, what did I learn from this experience? Like, it wasn't by chance. It wasn't like, okay, this happened to me, I'm a victim. Every single experience in your life, if you're operating from spiritual principle, is here to serve you. Your soul came for an evolution on this planet, and every single person you meet, every situation you find yourself in, you are a co-creator. You created it. Even if it seems like something bad happened to you, it actually happened for you. And this is spirituality 101. And I remind you of that because part of what helps us forgive is the shift in perspective of the story that we're telling ourselves about the situation and the thing that happened. And that's a lot of like the mind ninja work I do when we're on our Q&A calls inside the Embodied Woman Program and in my one-to-one work. Because so much of how we remember things is the stories we tell about it and what we make it mean and what we believe about it. So you might make it mean something about you. You might make it mean something about them. You might make it mean something about your life. And ultimately, when you get to a point that you see like, oh my God, this had to happen for me. I'm so grateful that it did. I've learned so much. This person is a master teacher for me. Thank you for this experience. I'm wiser. I have a fuller breath experience of life because of this situation, because of this person, because of this interaction. And at one time you may have felt wronged and resentful and angry and slated and all that. But then when you do the healing work, you get to the point where you're like, thank you. And it can take time. It's like grieving and mourning. Like things take time. Forgiveness can take time. And I think the level of your spirituality in terms of how much personal development work you've done, how much you've healed your traumas and triggers of the past will decide that refractory time. Also, I've found is the more you do your healing work and you heal traumas, the less you take things personally. Because a big part of forgiveness is not taking things personally. Remember, if anyone does anything, it's about them, not you. If someone hurts you, it's because they're hurting. Yeah, sure, it's directed at you, but it's not about you. Because only people who are hurting hurt. And so forgiveness is, I feel like, one of the highest spiritual virtues. I know people who hold resentments about things that have happened in their childhood, in their life, resentments towards their family, their parents, for not raising them or being a certain way, and they're sick. Like I even see it like psoriasis, I see it like rashes because a lot of that's pent up anger. So you see it manifest in the body like inflammation, essentially. So a lot of sickness, even like autoimmune disease, like so much sickness happens from unprocessed emotion. And so so I was talking about the Ultimate Woman, but in the Embodied Woman Program, we go through a process for you to process emotions, rewrite the stories and beliefs you have about certain situations, extract the lessons, do the energy healing work, create the new story, find the forgiveness, and literally it transforms your whole life. And you finally let go. It's like baggage you're letting go of. It's like weight you're letting go of. And then what happens? You have more space to receive. You have more space to receive abundance, bounty, money, goodness, opportunities, love, you name it. Because anywhere that you are not forgiving is like a block. It's a block to energy flowing. It's a block to goodness coming into your life. So it serves you. It always serves you to forgive. And mostly you forget. And a lot of the forgiveness rituals that I do with clients, like there's a few different ones I do. And then a few ones I'll share inside the program. They don't even need to know you're doing it. Like you don't have to call and be like, hey, you know that thing? I'm going to forgive you for it now. No, they don't even need to know. But the fascinating thing I have found is when people do forgiveness rituals and you really let go of someone and all the cords are cut and you're free, because that's what happens. When you forgive, you're free. You find they come around. They might message you something nice, something that wasn't resolved might resolve itself. My hair's wild today. It's really fascinating. So even though we're doing this like spiritual soul to soul work and you're really doing it for your own soul, you actually see real-time results in your life. And I know because it happens personally to me, it happens to my clients. And that's why I love spiritual healing work so much, because people might think it's woo-woo. And I know you don't if you're here and you're considering joining the program with me. But we actually get to change the physical reality when we change the energy. When you change what's happening on the inside and you do your healing and transformational work and your forgiveness work for you, not to like look like this great person for other people, but you do it for yourself, like when no one's watching, that's when you see change in your life. That's when it transforms. That's when you feel more love, peace, joy, and happiness. And so feminine embodiment work is about being these virtues. Yeah, we can talk a game and say, I'm love, I forgive, but do you really? Are you really? Like, for example, even if you have any form of health issues, if you struggle with body weight, if you find challenges even in work, like literally everything's connected. And even if you don't have any problems and you just feel like a little bit stagnant and you want to get to that next level, what helps you exponentially leap and evolve is through doing this work as well. Because I truly believe that the feminine leaders co-creating the new earth and anyone on a spiritual path, that when you start to embody more love, love equals money, love equals service and devotion, love equals sharing your gifts with the world. So the more that you're overflowing with the embodiment of love and being your divine essence inside of your body, that's when you start to see different kinds of results in your manifestations, in your creations, in your relationships. Life transforms by doing this work. And as I've mentioned, I think on the healing day, like, we're not joining another program or doing another healing work because we need to or something's wrong. It's because we're devoted to our path and our next level will be coming, and we know it never ends, and we're committed to our dharma, we're committed to our work in the world, we're committed to our families, our children, we're committed to having the most beautiful, beloved, divine union relationship. Because the more we continue, it's like cutting the grass. Like, you're not going to just cut it one time and then never cut the grass again. Like, you maintain. If you have a garden, you're going to pull the weeds. Like, we are in nature. There's constantly things that can be pruned and evolved and healed and processed, because we're having a human experience. We're interacting every single day with all kinds of people, having all kinds of situations. Like, I've had moments of healing even in these past, I guess even this past month. Like, I remember when I was in Peru and Colombia, and then I got back to New York and had a healing session where I've done so much healing work because I love it. It's my path. It's what I support others in. So of course I practice what I preach. And in this healing session with a mentor who I was in a program with, he was sharing with me about one of the energies we were clearing. He's like, oh yeah, those two are past life and this one's like ancestral, like they're so ancient. And I was like, I definitely feel what you're saying. I was like, why did they never come up before in any of the other healing sessions? You know, I was in the program for a year. I've done a bunch of other sessions since. And then I just said to him, I was like, it's just because they weren't ready, right? It's like layers of an onion. And he was like, exactly. So some of our healing that's asking to be done is going to be done in its divine time. So you might not even realize there's something ripe, something being asked of you to heal and evolve. And that's why continuing our personal development journey. You know, I've had clients who've always said to me, like, I'm always in at least one course at a time, sometimes more, but I'm always in at least one thing at a time, because we know we want to stay on our A game, right? And so if you're looking for your next program, course, and you're a woman, I definitely 100% recommend and welcome you inside of the Embodied Woman Program. It is going to be everything that I've been working with over these past years, brand new tools, and ways for healing, transformation, feminine embodiment, as I mentioned. And it does cover every area of life: spirituality, relationships, personal, communication, professional, business, etc. So it's all the things. And it's coming to my consciousness to share a story with you that I meant to share yesterday, and it's related to forgiveness because it's more or less related to being forgiving in the moment. So I don't know if you know this, but which I think was an amazing part of my spiritual path. It was challenging, but it expedited my spiritual development and the way that I relate to people. So once upon a time, I lived in a spiritual community. And I've lived in homes with like 25 people. Of course, they're big homes, where 25 people eat together at the same time, and there's nothing more that speeds things up than relationship, friendships, like being in the mirror of the other. Because as you know, we can be enlightened in the cave, but it's not until you're faced with the other that you really see, like, am I really so enlightened? How do I respond to situations? How do I communicate when something's challenging? So I had this one experience where I lived in a house. I think we were 18 or maybe 16 or something. And I didn't have a car at that time. And I wanted to go to the center of the community where like all the things happen. And, a lot of people go there for work in the morning. And there was this one woman who lived there, and that was not very nice to me. She often had an attitude, and I never did anything to her, so I didn't really understand why she was always so, I feel like she was mean to me, right? And of course, because I put myself into my higher self mind and framework, I was really able to sometimes I would cry because I'm human. But that particular morning, I needed a ride, and she was like the last one to go. And I was like, oh, great, it's her. Because I was just standing outside waiting for the next person to leave. And she was like, rah, 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 and she was like barking some things at me and like, come on, like, da, 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 or something. And I was just like, have compassion for her, Nikki. I was forgiving in the moment. I wasn't taking it personally. I didn't even say anything back to her. And we get in the car, and while I'm sitting in the car, I say to myself, in my head, like, she must be really going through a hard time that she acts this way towards me. Like, I don't understand, I don't understand. I'm not going to try to understand. But I was just like feeling compassion for her, and I wasn't making excuses for her. I just wasn't taking it personally, and I was deciding, like, you know what? She must be going through something. Okay. And then, sure enough, right after I think that, and of course, thoughts create energy. So my energy field was in compassion and forgiveness, not blame or victimhood at all. And she turned to me and she said, I'm really sorry. I'm just having such a hard time because blah, blah, blah. And she just started telling me what was going on in her life. And I just had this inner smile where I was like, imagine if we gave that level of forgiveness and compassion, and we were that forgiving in every moment, whenever our beloveds, our family, our friends, our clients, anyone, even the person who's at the grocery store. Like yesterday, I called my cell phone company, and the first woman was like not nice. And instead of subjecting myself to the way she was speaking, I just said, can you transfer me to someone else? I feel like we're having a hard time communicating, and I don't know if you fully understand what I'm saying. She's like, I don't have that capacity. I was like, okay, thank you, bye. And then I just hung up and called back and got a new person. And so it's like, we never have to subject ourselves to, and I want to make that clear. That's why I just shared that recent example from last night. We never have to subject ourselves to any kind of abusive behavior or talk, or if someone's mean to us, like, no. That being said, if you're able to be strong enough and not take it personally, not let it affect you, and you hold loving space, compassionate space, forgiving space, and you don't feed the fire. So start like yelling back, like, don't talk to me like that, right? Which, I mean, we're all guilty of at some point of our life in relationship. But if we could be the bigger person and rise up when we see someone else is triggered or in a bad place, do you know how much less conflict there would be in the world? And I say this because your healing work is affecting the whole planet. Right now there's war happening on the planet. What's going to tip the scales is each individual person being harmony, being peace, being love, being the example of what's not war, what's the opposite, what's love, what's compassion. Because if countries met themselves in solution-focused ways of finding whatever, meeting the needs of each other and speaking in a certain way and all the different things, like literally if spirituality and ways of communicating that were conscious and compassionate were utilized in the world, we would see a different world. So why does it matter if you do it as a woman? Because you're going to have children and you're going to raise them and they're going to be the future of humanity. And you may already have them. And it's never too late to come into greater compassion, love, forgiveness, healing. Because as each person evolves and raises their frequency, we literally transform the whole entire world. And you may think sometimes people think what does it matter if I do this? Look what's happening. It matters because it's additive. So if you do it, you actually start to affect the people around you. Then they get inspired and it's a snowball. It's a ripple and a snowball effect. So I'm looking forward to welcoming you ladies inside the Embodied Woman Program. We start on Friday. I'm so excited to receive you. Message me if you want to chat about it. We can DM back and forth. I'm happy to answer all of your questions. I'm happy for you to just jump right in. It's going to be a 6-month journey from solstice to solstice and a really powerful time. And if at all you're watching this at a later time, you can still join when it's happening. But of course, I recommend you being there from the start, being there live. If you're watching it now in real time and it's before summer solstice or winter solstice, depending what hemisphere. So that would be June 21st. And so I send you so much love, or June 20th. I don't know which day is Friday. June 20th or 21st, whatever is Friday. And also if you join before Friday, you get the bonus of the solstice ritual, which is going to be live. So you get an added bonus when you join before Friday. And then if not, that first call is Wednesday. So I send you so much love. Thank you for doing this work. Thank you for being on your path. Thank you for softening into true feminine power. Thank you for being an example, a leader, a matriarch, you going first, doing the great work. And I will see you next time. Thank you for being here. Bye for now.